can auto-expire them. You can save ads and deactivate them and then activate them later. Yes, and then you can disable after. I'm 99% positive. Hand over there? No? And again, this is it for a free ad rotator. It's worked well for me. Duplicate posts. This is another interesting one that you would think WordPress would have had to begin with. I have a lot of posts that follow the same type of style. They're all in the post template, but I'm constantly pasting in the old post and then just updating the information. This will actually let you grab a post, duplicate it with one click. Handy. Floating share bar. So this is a newer version of the one. Again, Mashable uses it. You're seeing it more and more. You see it over in the corner there, and it floats along with you as you go down. I don't like this one per se, but it is a pretty solid version. It works pretty well. It lets you change the stuff in the bar. My favorite is Share This. And I know some people swear by Add This, but I have used them for a while now. They really keep up with the newer buttons. They were, the day after Google Plus came out and everybody started putting the plus one buttons. They had it at least as a code update on their site. When Pinterest, add to Pinterest buttons became all the rage, they had that. Facebook-like, the whole thing. Yes? Yeah. It's a good question. Anybody? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think for me, it's certainly from a design perspective, it comes down to the aesthetics. There's a lot of bloggers use the sexy, what's it called, sexy bookmarks or something with those little, and they animate and they pop up. And that thing drives me crazy. It's so huge. And especially the people who put it at the top and bottom of the posts. No, has anybody done that in here? Because I just put my foot in my mouth? No. The last time I did one of these, there's like a girl sitting in the front, and she loved those, and she was mad at me for the whole rest of the presentation. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. Well, and that's the nice thing about this are the features. So you can. I like the kind of simple. There's something in there you can't really see. Oh, it's email. There's a little email thing. So I like the one without the totals, just for that reason. Unless I know it's a site that's really going to get a lot of shares. So then at least you have the option, but you're not advertising that we don't have any shares for all of these other buttons. I also like the simplicity of that smaller footprint, and you can. But then they certainly have the other ones where you can have numbers and stuff. There's little talk bubbles around those if you can't see. They have this new feature. I'm not quite sure. I'm behind it. There's an egg there. It's the sharing egg. I have no idea what that has to do with their branding or anything. And you click it and it cracks open and basically shows one of these things. It's very strange. The other cool thing, though, in addition to being able to put it at the bottom of or top of a page or post, they have this newer feature where you can put it on the side like a floating bar. You can put it in the bottom in a bar that stays there. You can put it in the top. So you really have a lot of options to be able to tailor it. And then if you're not familiar with the way Share This works, this icon, so this is the Share This icon. If you click on that, so you can, of course, control what you have here. You can put Pinterest, or you can take email out if nobody ever shares on email. They give you sign up on the Share This site, and they'll give you analytics on all this stuff. So you click on the Share This button, and this bigger pop opens up where you can share on virtually every network that they serve. You can write an email, you can do Facebook, everything. So sometimes you just can include that, and it will cover everything, but I'm still not confident that users know what the heck that is. So I like to include some of the other ones, too. And again, you vary that. I don't use LinkedIn, in my share buttons. I don't really see people doing that. But you can tailor it to how your site works. Other questions on sharing? Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Show after the excerpt. I don't think there's a hard and fast rule. I mean, really, it's if they're working for you where you have them, keep them there. And if you're not getting the kind of results you want, experiment. You know, some people get more results if they're in the top of the post. That's my theory on why the floating share bar is so popular, because it stays towards the top of the post and it follows you down. So people get more action including it at the top of the post and the bottom of the post. If it's that big, sexy bookmark bar, you know, again, you're using up so much real estate with that. Right. So. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. Yes. Right. No, this doesn't. So one more reason this is. Mm-hmm. Well, right, and that's the risk. Now, the other thing to balance that with, are people going to share it if they're not reading the whole thing? So are you really losing them? You don't know. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you can. The nice thing I've used right from the settings panel, you can control all of this stuff, but you can also go in and they generate the code, so you can actually put it in your templates if you're code inclined. Put it wherever you want, as many times as you want. So, but it's a really nice interface otherwise. WordPress backup to Dropbox. Says it all. If you have a Dropbox account, this will do a backup of your WordPress install and database. Boom. Really nice. No, but you can use it for backup. That would be nice if you could use it for active development, but I don't think Dropbox allows you to do that, and I know this plugin doesn't. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Something like this? Not at all. Yeah. And again, unless you have a ton of plugins running, it's really not going to be a speed issue. You know, the worst thing, more and more you're starting to see security vulnerabilities with inactive plugins, so it's good to kind of if you're not using it, just get rid of it. You can always grab it again. And chances are, if you're not using it for any length of time, it's going to have been updated anyway. So there's no point in kind of keeping it disabled, floating around. And then I don't have any on here, but you know there are some decent. What are some good caching plugins? Yeah, W3 Cache and stuff like that, or Super Cache. I mean, there's a lot of them. There's a few that really rise to the top and just work. And they're easy to install if you're really experiencing slowdowns. But unless you have 40 plugins running, you're not going to really be experiencing slowdown. Hmm? Yeah. 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 Mm-hmm. Yeah. They are problematic. They drive me crazy from a development standpoint, because then I'll be in there messing around with something, and it'll frustrate me that I can't see it right away. So, yes. Okay. Lots of contact form plugins out there. This one's free. It's my favorite. Very simple, very flexible. There's lots of add-ons to this for things like CAPTCHA and whatnot. It basically gives you a really nice basic form, although you can get more complicated, that you put together in the admin settings panel. It gives you a little short code to drop on your page, and you know, within 2 minutes, you have a really nice email deliverable form. A nice extra to add on to that, again, this is free too, is Recaptcha. Everybody familiar with Recaptcha? I'm going to do my little PSA for Recaptcha. This is Google acquired them, but they were around before. You might have seen these CAPTCHAs. These are the best CAPTCHAs out there. So what they're presenting is scans of books that are being digitized. So you're actually helping digitize the books. These are the ones that the computer had trouble deciphering. So it's an easier thing to submit because they're not all crazy like the regular Google CAPTCHAs that are sometimes really hard to read. And you're doing a service as well. The other nice thing about them is they're really accessible for people with disabilities. There's a little audio button on there that people with screen readers and whatnot can use to actually listen to the CAPTCHA and get through. And the security is decent for a CAPTCHA. And it just, again, gives you a little code to include in your contact form 7, and it works. Questions?
Yeah.
Yes.
Contact form itself. Can you create multiple forms?
Yes.
So it's basically you want to have to sign up for something for an event.
Sure. Yeah, create as many as you want. And again, you manage them all from the admin settings, and it'll just give you a different code to drop on those pages. Okay. Nice. And it's free? Excellent. We'll see. There we go. That's perfect. Fast, secure contact form. Excellent. Excellent. Thank you. We did search Unleashed, right? Did we do search Unleashed? Yeah. Okay. Dynamic widgets. I don't know why I had it in there twice. This one's kind of neat. It lets you disable widgets depending on what page you're viewing. So you can use the same sidebar, and you can say, I don't want this recent posts widget to display when I'm showing archives or when I'm showing pages rather than posts. So you don't have to create multiple sidebars. Pretty easy, and this, again, it's really, I wonder why these projectors are. Lots of options in terms of what those situations are and the plugins themselves. Helpful. Find and replace. Find and replace. I got to change something across my whole site. Does it quick and easy. Headlines? No, it's not code find and replace. Well, that's a good question. I don't think so. Yeah, this is content-based rather than tags and things like that. That's a very good question. So I'm saying I think no. Because it's just going to look in it's going to look in the database for the information. So, yes. This I'd probably turn off. Depending on the rest, probably not. I don't know how often you need this. So, yeah. And it's pretty lightweight. So, podcasters, anybody? Okay. Do you use this? Yeah. You liking it? It's just really simple and intuitive. It shows, again, an area that you can't really see on this projector. At the bottom of your edit post pages, and you can paste in your path to your MP3, and it will auto-populate the data for your podcast, publish it out to iTunes. You can add specific episode information if you don't want it auto-generated. Pretty straightforward, really, really helpful if you're a podcaster to automating a lot of that. Yeah. There might be. I used the free version for the social media breakfast site, and I haven't hit limits on the, yes. The audio files? Yes. Huh? Well, it's media temple. So the plan doesn't really limit that. You haven't downloaded issues with your host? Okay. They kick you off? Well, they might. I use DreamHost too. Customizable post listings. So this one lets you mess with the recent posts widget and essentially have lots of fun variations on it. Just show posts that were recently commented on or recently modified or random posts. Gives you a lot more flexibility than just the out-of-the-box random post. Again, it's just a simple little, fairly tightly focused plugin. Works really well. When are we done here, by the way? What's our end time? 35. Okay. MailChimp list subscribe form. Again, pretty straightforward. Puts a nice little subscribe form into your sidebar that you can pretty up as much as you like and connect it to your MailChimp account. Yes? You certainly could. No, it's a very good question. It's one or the other. It's useful. The nice thing about this, it will give you some editable options within the settings. Whereas if you're a user and are a little daunted by grabbing the embed code and just sticking it in there and backing away, this will give you a little more fine control over that. If you have a client who wants to be more hands-on like that. But if you're just going to drop it in there and never touch it, the widget's fine. Subscribe to comments. Lets you subscribe to comments. Great if you have lots of comments and discussion going on so people can come back to that post. Not so great if you don't have any comments going on, so you probably don't need it. WordPress.com stats. This might be one that's in Jetpack. I'm not sure. I think, yes, this is the other one that I was thinking of that was in Jetpack. So this gives you, there's a really nice analytics dashboard that you get for WordPress.com. So this just allows you to see that sort of data. It's kind of cut off there. In your dashboard, there's a more advanced version called Google Analyticator that you plug in your analytics data or your analytics account, and then it will show you right in your dashboard when you log in your most recent analytics. That's really helpful to me. Anybody use that? Yeah? Yeah. Works pretty well for you? Yeah. Well, it's nice to not have to go to one other place and bring up your analytics reports and whatnot. Exclude Pages. I use this one all the time if I'm using, it basically just adds a little checkbox to the bottom or to the side of your edit page that says include this in navigation. And you uncheck it if you don't want to include this in navigation. Why would you want to use that? I use it for things like privacy policies and anything in subnav, anything I don't want in the main nav or I want in a drop-down that I just want to take out for whatever reason. Yes? Mm-hmm. Well, right. This does. If you're using the new menu and you have a menu-friendly theme, you don't need this. But it's been helpful when you do. I do a lot of from scratch stuff, and yeah, it's been helpful. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Was that a question, or were you stretching? Next two? Yeah. Okay. Stretching. That's good. I encourage stretching. And minimize. This one's really helpful for client projects since I discovered it last year. Basically, it lets you control what the client's seeing based on, or basically, it lets you control the view from the dashboard perspective based on user role. So I have a client set up as an editor. They don't need to be in plugins. I don't want them in plugins, so I hide it. Yes? Mm-hmm. Very similar, yeah. So, and this is, I want to say the user roles one is more simplified than this one. This is a case early on when I was talking about features, and if you can afford to live with extra features that you don't need, this is one where you're hardly ever going to need this kind of fine-tuned control. But if for some reason you wanted, I use a plugin called Magic Fields a lot, and I'll create very specified templates with all these little editable regions in addition to just the basic edit page region. And I'll call that something else. Like, I mean, it's the same thing if you were doing custom posts, and I want to hide, for whatever reason, just the basic pages section because we're not using it, and it's going to confuse them. So this lets me do that. Questions? No? Okay. Fair enough. WordPress Download Monitor. So if you're offering downloads to your users, this lets you manage that really easily, as well as track how many people are downloading it. So if you have ebooks, if you have anything that they need to download, it's a nice little drop on the page interface for them, and it handles the download process. And again, you get to track it. Blueberry has its own analytics. And yes, that would be a different interface anyway if you're downloading. Yes. Yes. It's a good problem to have. FB Simpler, SEO. How many people use all-in-one SEO? Anybody? Some people? That's another example of one with a lot more options than I normally use. I want, especially if I'm handing over to a client and they just want some basic SEO control. So this is a trimmed down version of that. This interface pops up at the bottom of your edit pages. It's basically the home title or the title description and keywords, and you can automate it to populate that automatically, just like all-in-one, or you can go in and edit it yourself. It's just a much smaller footprint, and there's a few less of those of every little fine-tuned bit. Well supported. This is another one that I like. It's an old standby. Generates an automatic Google XML sitemap as I update content on the site. Once you tell Google where it is, they'll be connected to it. They'll crawl your site better. You can get in and do fine-tune control, or you can just automate it to do its best guess on what your popular content is. You use the Google Webmaster Tools interface to tell it where to go, and it saves it just as a basic sitemap.xml in your root, usually, unless you specify somewhere else. This is a new version of it that, what did it do? Oh, it supports multi-site and stuff like that. All right. This is another one that is helpful, and I shut it off and uninstall it when I'm not using it. So basically, this is the out-of-the-box piece. If you're performing a bunch of updates, something broke, I don't know, any number of reasons you need to take the site down for a short period of time, you install maintenance mode. This is, again, the default. There's a little bit of information under it. The site's down. Please check back. You can set a time and have it auto-expire. You can say, check back in an hour, check back in 97 minutes, whatever. You can just leave it on. It will remind you on every single page of the dashboard, you have maintenance mode on. Don't forget, nobody can see your site. But there's a login link on the bottom, and admins can log in. So you can go in and swap your themes out, and you can do. This page is, CSS editable, so you can actually make a nice, the site is not, live right now page. Very, very helpful. It's gotten me out of some jams where I needed to take the site down for a short period of time and fix some things. Let's see. Okay. Sometimes you have to pay for it. We've all been there. Again, no judgment. I am such a free plugin advocate, but every once in a while there's something that is worth paying for. The first one on all of our lists should be Akismet. So this is an automatic product, Matt. The Matt part of automatic being Matt Mullenweg. Peter Mullenweg, yeah. Who created WordPress to begin with. The best, in my opinion, solution to your comment span problems, and it's a rotating scale of what you pick your own amount to donate as an individual to support this program. So you could say, I want to give a couple bucks a year, but it's well worth it. You can get a free version, of course, but it's good to support this type of thing. The cool thing about Akismet compared to other spam filters is that it's crowdsourced. So it actually pays attention to what WordPress users are flagging as spam and prevents it from attacking all other WordPress users and adds that to the list, constantly updating. So it's pretty nice. And again, you can get the API key and plug it in and run it for free quickly and try it out. But once you start seeing that rack up, it's worth it. WordPress, this is another automatic venture, and it's really, really good backup. So it will back up. You can specify, and again, you can't use it as development, but it's just backup. You can specify what you're backing up. You just want to back up your data. You want to back up your whole install. You want to back up your plugins, any variation of which you can easily restore those if something goes wrong. Yes? That's a good question. I think it's per site, if I'm not mistaken. WordPress. It is pricey. Yeah. So yeah, that's per site. Yeah, it is high end. It's a little pricey, but depending on, it's used by a lot of people. And anybody have it open? No, it's just yeah. I mean, it's not outrageous. Does anybody have it up? Lindsay, are you searching? No? Okay, fine. No, you're not going to be helpful. I don't have that off the top of my head. I'm sorry. WP Touch Pro, again, it's not a perfect mobile solution, but it's pretty darn good. There is a free version. You're limited in customization, but that's not a bad alternative if you just need to provide a mobile version of your site. And right out of the box, it works pretty well, but it doesn't look terribly different from every other cookie-cutter mobile site. So that's why I recommend the Pro version, because you get to customize more. Let's go here than there. For basic? Oh. Okay.
Mykl, does this have
Define mobile switcher? Mm-hmm. I don't know how specific it can get by platform like that. I mean, it does have, it definitely senses the difference between an iPad and a phone on the Pro version. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Talk to Brian after. He'll help you out. But it's good. And the nice thing is you turn it on, you set some preferences, and in the Pro version you can really customize the look to match the colors and logo and stuff like that to match your site. And it will, as you can see in the little example there, show different versions for mobile and iPad, and it will make sense of your data. It's pretty good. It's a nice alternative to not having a responsive or mobile theme to begin with. And it's fairly inexpensive. I don't have prices. I should have put prices on these up. Sorry about that. Yes?
What's the argument of going that route?
What's the... Say that again?
This is basically
Yeah. It's always better, in my opinion, to actually create a mobile website. But it's a good halfway step. I mean, again, you install it and you have it. So there's the benefit. I'm going to quickly go through Gravity Forms again. I know people who swear by it. It's not that expensive, and it's really good if you want to pay for a form plugin. Really solid. Yes. Yes. Correct. So you can go form to database as well on Gravity Forms. Great point. Thank you. Niveau slider, there's 1,012,000 sliders out there. I happen to like this one. The paid version is the WordPress plugin version. It has some nice transitions. It's really simple. It's easy for users to use. It is the world's most awesome jQuery and WordPress image slider, they say. And it's pretty darn good. Uber menu, again, it's kind of hard to see if you want to do multi-column, you know, those big, deep menus for some reason. You turn this on, you set the settings, and you're good to go. Premise, this is brand new from Copyblogger. I don't know how many people follow him in here. It basically lets you set up a beefed up, optimized landing page for a campaign. So if you want to have not just sign-ups, but if you want to roll something out and you need a page really quickly and independent from your site without having to get in and do custom pages and everything, it's, again, you plug it in, set it, and you have this really nice page that you can control the look and feel from. I don't know that much about it, but it's new, and people seem to be excited about it. And it's a different type of functionality than I've seen before. And that's it. I think we did it. Excellent. Other questions we haven't touched on? Thank you. So I'll have the presentation up there. Questions on it or anything in the future going forward, please give me a shout. Thank you very much.